Today, we welcome you to the world where imagination reigns supreme and the power of storytelling can transport us to the place beyond our wildest dreams.
As we embark this journey together, let us not forget that storytelling is an art form that has been honed from centuries to centuries and passed down from generation to generation. Whether it is an epic tales of ancient mythology or modern-day narratives of our favorite novels, each story has the power to inspire, to educate, and to entertain.
But storytelling is not just about the words on the page and the screen. It is about the emotions they evoke, the characters they bring to life, and the worlds they create. So let us embrace the power of storytelling with open hearts and open minds and allow ourselves to be swept away by its magic.
Good afternoon, Robinson's Place, Iloilo, and good afternoon, Immortals. Today, this event signifies a new milestone in the history of Wvsu College of Education as we kick off a search for the greatest storyteller.
It is clear that our participants have been eagerly anticipating this day. The amount of preparation and dedication that they have put into this event is truly impressive, and it is evident that they are ready to bring us to the realms of stories and tales.
As we approach the start of the event, the air is buzzing with anticipation and excitement. We cannot wait to see what our participants have stored in for us, and we are confident that they will give us an unforgettable experience.
It is with deep gratitude that we acknowledge the vision and leadership of the mastermind behind this event, Dr. Asperbal Cesar Cadiao. This event would not have been possible without his tireless dedication and unwavering commitment to excellence.
We also extend our thanks to the esteemed members of the Wvsu administration, including University President Dr. Joselito F. Villaruz, Vice President for Academic Affairs Dr. Maria Asuncion Christine Vidiquilia, and the COA Dean Dr. Ricky M. Magno for their invaluable support and guidance. Their contribution have been instrumental in ensuring that this event is a resounding success.
This event is the first of its kind, and we are incredibly excited to pave the way for the search for the greatest storytellers!
And as we embark on this journey, we are very proud to be breaking a new ground and creating opportunities for our aspiring storytellers to showcase their skills and creativity.
This event is a celebration of power of the storytelling and its ability to connect people across cultures and generations.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now officially welcome you to the 2023
Search for the Greatest Storytellers!
Delight.
Sound check. Everyone wished for silence, to be free of noise, criticisms, judgments, or even war. But they don't know how much noise means to me. I want them to hear my voice. I want them to hear what I want to say, but I can't. I am deaf. I don't know anything. I don't know even my name. But I have seen everything. I was born in Oscar, a village outside of town. Life is peaceful. People can be themselves, and they can live simply. I notice how people smile when they're happy. I notice how people pout when they're sad. I awoke early one morning and I noticed how people active are. I could see them rejoicing through our window. I also want to get out there and be with them, to enjoy with them. But what if they made fun of me? I was about to go to sleep that night when the entire town of Oscar panicked when a lifeless body of a woman was discovered. She had no scars. People assumed that she was just sick. They suspected me, thinking that I was just a bad luck in Asgard. I was hurt, but I had to pretend that I didn't. Each day, a new lifeless body appears. It silently kills me. I wonder why those people who died for the past few days seem familiar to me. Those were the people who made fun of me. I was about to go to sleep that night when I heard a prattle. I was horrified. I slowly exited my room, and at the door, I saw Daddy. He was standing with a candle in his hand. I stepped back to see what he's going to do. He walked slowly and quietly opened the door. I followed him. I made sure he wouldn't notice me. I hid behind the tree. My tears fell, and I stopped myself from sobbing. My guts are true. Daddy. It was Daddy. It was Daddy who murdered them! I looked over and saw how Daddy get that plant with blackberries. That berry was the most poisonous plant in town. I observed how Daddy get that plant and put that blackberry inside the woman's mouth. He has no mercy! He has no mercy. He acted as if nothing happened. I moved slowly and I went back home. I pretended to be asleep while Daddy was putting that plant under his desk. For this, I waited so long. I can still remember him cutting my tongue when I was 4 years old and stopping my ears when I was with nails. I endured my suffering in silence. People just know me that I am just a deaf child, but they are not aware that I am a victim of crime. I checked outside. Because of this, I wanted to shout so that they can hear me and hopefully they can see the fear in my eyes. I checked outside to see if Daddy is asleep before grabbing that plant. But to my surprise, that plant is gone! That plant is gone. That plant is now in my daddy's mouth. Daddy is dead. Daddy, you are my candlelight.
ever wondered where our loved ones go after they pass away? As a child, I often found myself contemplating this question as I lay on my mother's lap, gazing up at the starry sky. Little did I know that one unexpected encounter with a magical feline would help me uncover the answer. In this tale, I'll share my journey of unexpected hellos, unsaid goodbyes, and the mysterious cat that changed everything. Not so long ago, at the edge of a great forest called Rep, my family and I are peacefully living with my grandmother, Leticia, who had just passed away. Every day, I would go to the river near our house to reminisce about the times I spent with her, as it was our favorite place to go when she was still here. One day, as I was walking to our spot by the river, I saw a magical cat named Letty. Letty was no ordinary cat, for she possessed the ability to speak and understand the human language. She had a peculiar locket around her neck with her name engraved on it that she never took off, and the villagers had grown accustomed to her presence as speaking animals were not here. But strangely, Letty was aloof not only to me but to my whole family. So, it was a surprise that she was walking beside me. As I arrived at the river, I noticed the twigs are still snapping behind me and realized that Letty was following me. Meanwhile, as I arrived at the river, I noticed that Letty was still following me. After that, I stayed for a while and went home to eat breakfast. Meanwhile, the magical cat stayed at the river, and there, Letty thought about her peaceful life. Despite this, she could not help but feel a sense of longing and nostalgia for her past self. You see, Letty has a secret. She knew that she was my grandmother, but she could not remember her former self very clearly. She would often gaze at the portrait inside her locket, wondering about the woman she used to be. The next day, I once again stumbled upon Letty while taking a walk in the forest. I was surprised to see her, but then Letty approached me and nuzzled her head against my leg. Although bewildered, I stroked her fur, then once again said, "Hello there, Letty." Then, something unexpected happened. Letty, for the first time, looked to me. She said, "Hello." And as I was stroking her fur, I noticed the locket around her neck and recognized it as the one my grandmother was wearing in all of her family photos. Suddenly, memories of my grandmother telling me stories came flashing in my mind about a magical cat who had always been her constant companion. Tears streamed down my face as I realized that Letty was my grandmother, reincarnated into a feline form. I immediately asked for her forgiveness and said these words, "I'm sorry, La. I love you. I'm still waiting for you to come home." Letty just purred as a response. As I was hugging her, I remember the words that she said when she once saw us crying. "Why are we crying? I'm not going anywhere." And she was right. She didn't go anywhere far. From that moment on, Letty became a constant companion, a reminder of the dear grandmother I love. And every time I looked into her wise and knowing eyes, I know that my grandmother's love will always be with me in this life and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jelai, and that was the story of my grand Nyauga.
I woke up feeling like I stopped breathing. I can feel the hollowness of my chest as I vividly remember how my limp body rolls up, slamming over the roof and the window of the car. I was not feeling my head and my body was numb. This was not the first time I dreamed about this accident. At first, I didn't understand what was happening. You know that feeling where you're unsure whether it was a dream or did it actually happen? But before I got trapped into that thought, I was jolted from the sound of a shattering glass coming from the kitchen. I quickly rose up and took big steps going to where the sound was coming. There I saw my husband Henry hang out in a corner alone, knocking back drinks. His eye seems glossy and drift, while he uttered slurred words and broke down into incomprehensible sobs. He has been like this for a week. He would come home late and drunk, and whenever I asked him what was wrong, it was as if he didn't hear and see me. Minutes later, he slowly stood up, and for some reason, a tiny voice in my head keeps telling me to follow him as he stumbles to get his car keys and get to the garage. Today is the last time that I will hold on to the small thread of hope before it slips further and further away from my grasp. I was too trusting. I kept ignoring my suspicion that he was being unfaithful. But my world fell apart and I was utterly distraught when he parked in front of a flower shop. He went out of the car and returned with a bouquet of beautifully arranged red roses. I sat there in the car, devastated, with an immense pain on my chest, and tears falling from my eyes. I began to look at pieces of our marriage I'd never taken the time to analyze. There were problems when we were first together, but we kept the burning passion for each other alive. We were so in love, and I thought he would never feel equally drawn to another woman. My agony had faded into bewilderment when we stopped at an unfamiliar place. The air was heavy and damp, pressing against my skin. He followed a pebble-paved sidewalk leading to a small hill that opens to a cemetery. A look of puzzlement crossed my face when he stopped at a dull gray headstone. And just as when the pain was at its worst, he laid down the bouquet of red roses below the crooked headstone where my name was carved. I am not comprehending what I was seeing and hearing. When he uttered the words, "I will wait for you in every lifetime, Amelia," my hand flew to my chest as I realized mine was silent and still, while his was pounding loudly.
Next in line, herpes, and not so happy ever after.
It was a dark and stormy night in July, and I was walking alone in the woods. The thunder keeps rumbling, the wind softly caressing my skin, when suddenly a flashback creeps in. 3 years passed since that horrifying incident happened, and it keeps on haunting me even in my dreams. Our house was burned into ashes, and I am the sole survivor. I am Emery Aurelia, the daughter of the so-called witch Ivanora, who was accused of practicing the devil's magic. Amidst that flashback, I heard a rustling from a distance. I followed it and was astonished to see a man laying on the ground. His leg was injured, so I took him home to cure his wounds. The very moment I laid my eyes on him, I knew that he was the finest and dreamiest man I'd ever met. He has brown eyes, his hair was thick and blonde, and his features are strikingly beautiful. He is Cyprian Ambrose, the only man who captured my heart. We both fell for each other, and the days we spent together felt endless and surreal. Not until that day came. I was cutting some flowers in the garden when Cyprian came rushing to me, showing me a necklace and asking me why I had it because he owns it. My heart suddenly dropped. My head was spinning and everything seems to be collapsing. Why would he claim that he owns it? Because that necklace was owned by the man who burned our house. It was Cyprian. It was Cyprian who burned our house. Angst, loath, and thirst for revenge filled the core of my soul. And I just found myself holding the knife stabbed in Cyprian's chest. Blood streaming, hands shaking, and tears falling. It was an accident. I didn't mean to. My Cyprian, I'm so sorry. But I have to get away from this. I run and run and run. I was out of breath when I realized I reached town. Then I bumped into a group of men and overheard a man bragging how he was able to kill the witch Evanora 3 years ago. I stopped, turned, and grabbed that man's arm. I froze. Cyprian? I asked. Oh, I'm Saffron, Cyprian's twin brother, he replied. My world stopped moving. My knees weakened and I fell on the ground. It was all clear to me now. Both of them could have owned the same necklace, but Saffron was the one who killed my mother. Not my Cyprian. My beloved Cyprian. I killed the only man who made me feel what true love is, because I was blinded by my desire to seek revenge. I sobbed and sobbed until my tears were blood. Then suddenly, I felt a stinging pain in my stomach. I was stabbed. Aha! I knew it! You are the daughter of that witch. I looked up to the sky. It was dark and gloomy. It speaks to me as I lay dying. Then I closed the book. Well, that's kind of a heartbreaking story, but I might recommend this to my friends.
Tanon, in her piece Owls and Us of Discovery.
feeling right now? Ooh. Ah. Well, please lend me your attention, or else you'll be missing something for the rest of your life, because I'm taking you back to the Earth's prehistoric age. If my memory serves me right, this is when people actually knows how to express their emotions in 2 words. These words would be whoo, whoo. Ah. Yes, even excitement, pain, fear, and pleasure. They know how to express using those 2 words. Once upon a time, in the world of stomping dinosaurs and grunting cavemen, there was a strange and wonderful discovery. Fire. What is a fire? And why does it, what's the word? Burn. There was a girl named Audie. Audie was very fascinated with the flickering ball of light during daytime. And even at night, she wonders what those small circles that are twinkling above, where she even dreams that she could have one someday. So, one stormy day, as Audie was out foraging food in the forest, she stumbled upon a very strange phenomenon. She noticed that the fiery or the colorful light above was nowhere to be found. And then there was a blanket of darkness when, boom, there was an explosion. And then it was followed by a blinding streak of light dashing towards the ground. Curiosity got the best of her, so she rushed towards where she last saw the light. She saw the bushes, thick with fog, and it has a familiar color, like that of the light she saw during the day. Ooh! Ah! She picked it up, and then embers flew towards her. Sparks caught her hair, and eventually, in a panic, she ran around in circles, flailing her arms, and then shouting at the top of her lungs. Woo! Woo! She felt pain, actually, but she was furious at the same time. She even wished that this thing had a face so she can smack it with her club. From then onwards, this is the discovery that fire actually hurts. This thing, even though how magnificent it looks like, but it devours and hurts people who is trying to be near it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the ooze and ass of discovery. Thank you.
Hear the story of Jalen Estember with her piece, I Do, Father.
Finally, I'm getting married. I always envisioned this day since I was a little kid. I'm wearing a beautiful white dress, a veil, and being the prettiest for the day. Dun, 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 dun. I wipe a tear in my cheek as I walk down the aisle. My hands are trembling. I can't speak because my heart is pounding so hard that I can hardly breathe. I stare to the man who's waiting for me in front. He's the man I promised to be with till the rest of my days. I love him more than the love songs or romantic poems I have read. I adore him more than how much I adore the moon and stars at night. Now that I'm finally facing him, I want to burst into tears. His smiles are much brighter now than how they used to be. He's staring sweetly at me. I want to embrace him. I want to tell him how much I love him. Shout it so everyone can hear. but I can't. How can a bride hug a priest on her wedding day? Yes, who I was talking about and who I love so much all this time is the server of God in front of me. And yes, he looks so perfect on his white priestess. Woman, do you take this man to be your lawful wedded husband? He asked me with his smile and gentle voice. I felt a tear dropping down my eyes as I answered, I do, Father.
Let us now pay attention to Raymark Hill in his piece, Kaloy.
Soundtrack. Most of you hear stories about crimes, violence, and murders. Perhaps some of you may think that I shouldn't be here. However, I was given an opportunity to share my story. Well, my dear ladies and gentlemen, listen and give me your verdict. I was young, innocent, and fragile at that time. I may not recognize her face anymore, but her voice still lingers in me. Kaloy, just stay there. Don't go anywhere. I'll just buy something to eat. My mother said, and I, a naive 5-year-old child, never thought that it was her last goodbye. She abandoned me in a crowded, filthy and repugnant street. Back in that day, my tears fell as time went by, and my fears crept as the night covered the street. Moving on, that time, living in the streets were harsh for me. I cried and cried and cried until I didn't have any tears left to cry. I mumbled, stumbled, and shouted, horrifyingly asking in the depths of the wind where my mother went. Until a child, older than I, approached and said, I used to be like that too. You'll get used to it. He is Jose. And as I grew older, Jose and his friends taught me how to survive in the streets. I learned how to run like a professional athlete because I had to run as fast as possible because the shopkeepers might catch me. I also learned how to play hide and seek away from the people who want to take me to their so-called homes. And as my miserable life continued to flow, I learned street tricks and became addicted to bad habits. But one day, everything changed when I finally met them and they saw me in the streets. I didn't even want to come that day. However, they were persistent and there were a lot of them. So I just simply said, okay, my life right now is somehow different compared to what I have before. I don't even know what happened to Jose. I haven't heard any news from them. Besides, I don't even vet out on the streets. I don't need to run as fast as possible because there are people who are there for me. They never abandon me. Besides, they watch over me and feed me every day. Well, that's it. But most of the time I wonder, why did my mother abandon me? And what if I didn't kill that rich businessman? And what if our operation didn't went wrong? And was God forsaken me? And do we have a chance to get out from this cage of cruelty? No, my dear ladies and gentlemen, tell me your verdict. I am Kaloy, and I have given up on life.
Put your house on with her peace. Foolish love.
When I found myself sitting on the wooden bench, silently feeling the cool breeze of the wind touching my face, when a man suddenly interrupted me with his presence and piercing gaze. And that is where I realized that this familiarity leads me to Emma. I was named Narnia. I was born in a household full of monsters, saying, just die, while beating me to death. And fortunately, I was saved by an influential family. And this is where I was able to live a life in a huge mansion, spacious and grand. And this is where I was able to feel the love. And however, their business left me empty. They were only filled with by introducing me to a man my age. And that's when it occurred to me that it's him. The one in front of me is the same man who gave me the love and attention I was longing for, but his beautiful face is filled with hatred. I cannot help but laugh miserably about that. Maybe he was upset that I wasn't able to follow him, and so I extended my arms to feel his face, but I touched nothing but cold air. I cannot. And so, a moment later, I felt two people in white grabbing me into my arms and injected a stinging pain. Meanwhile, I heard a man say, Mari is still grieving from her loss from the accident 2 months ago. This may cause her delusions and hallucinations. It will be better if she continues to receive medication and treatment, Mrs. Mitsu. But everything went silent after that. But a car accident? That's the story they all believe, not knowing the dark reality. I killed the man of my life, Colin. He didn't love me. He only loved the wealth and the fame that comes after my name, and so I stabbed him. And that's where I realized that I did not lose a lover. I lost my sanity, and I was a fool to think I was